Traumatic grief is when a person suffers from grief as a result of a death or from traumatic distress. Further, many children struggle to deal with the death of a significant person. The reaction to death greatly depends on a child's age, family, and support system. Reactions to the death can negatively affect a child's learning behavior, such as having difficulty concentrating or having death-related thoughts. Many things can trigger a child to be reminded of the deceased person. Feelings of death and anger can create great difficulty for a child to get along with peers, go to school, and other activities. In grief, the pain is related to the loss. In trauma, the pain is related to fear. Domestic violence is a pattern or behavior that occurs between intimate partners with the aim of one partner to exert control over the other. Some examples are psychological threats, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and physical violence. Sexual abuse is any interaction between a child, an adult, or another child, where the child is used for sexual stimulation by the perpetrator. Early childhood trauma is defined as trauma experienced by children from the ages of 0 to 6. Even though these children may not understand what is happening around them, they are still emotionally and psychologically impacted. Neglect occurs when a parent does not provide a child with the physical, emotional, educational care he or she needs despite being able to afford it. School violence refers to a hostile atmosphere that stems from physical violence or threats from students or teachers, or any behavior that creates an unsafe educational environment for a student.
A lot of adults don't necessarily think that kids understand death, and so they don't think that kids will recognize when someone dies, or that they don't know that person died, or they don't understand it, so they don't acknowledge that children have feelings about that. But children actually grieve. They grieve those losses just like adults. It doesn't necessarily look the same. Sometimes it looks like tears, and it looks like the unexpected crying, but it also looks like non-compliance. It looks like behavior problems. It looks like irritability, just like it does in adults. It looks like angry outbursts. It can look like social isolation and withdrawal. It can be poor grades in school. Now, children will talk about the person who died, or they may not talk about the person who died at all. They may ask lots and lots of questions. They may ask no questions. They may want you to tell them the story of the person's death. They may not want you to talk about it at all. I mean, just like with adults, the experience is very personal and it's very different for every person. But it's important to acknowledge that they have that process too, just like adults.
Between 25% and 43% of children are exposed to sexual abuse. Between 39% and 85% are exposed to community violence. Talk about it, and keep talking about it. Understand each other's feelings and move forward together. Take your time. Everybody has different emotions and processes things differently. The Norwich Public Library is a great resource for finding more information about loss. Some helpful books are On Grief and Grieving, Finding the Meaning of Grief Through the 5 Stages of Loss, by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler. Advice and inspiration based on the author's experiences, including sections on sadness, dreams, children coping, and healing. Making Loss Matter, Creating Meaning in Difficult Times, by David Wolpe. How to understand grief and how to learn from it and create meaning in difficult times. A Grief Observed, by C.S. Lewis. After his wife's death, the author reflects on life, death, and faith during loss.
When I was in 8th grade, one of my best friends died suddenly in a plane crash. Her parents and another one of her friends were in the plane. When my mom told me about the accident, she said,
"2 girls in your grade and her parents died in the plane crash."
I asked my mom,
Who died?
My mom said,
Izzy and her parents and Lucy.
My mom acted like Izzy and her parents were not as close to our family as they actually were. Some strategies for dealing with loss are acknowledging the loss. My mom should have acknowledged the importance of my friend to me and my friend's parents to her. Another strategy is to listen and to look into what resources are available for additional support. My mom made me feel like I should just get on with my life. It is important to support and acknowledge your child's feelings, experiences, and their version of the story. Let your child know it is okay to ask questions. Another version of my mom telling me about the plane crash could have gone like this.
I have some tragic news. Your best friend Izzy and her parents and Lucy died in a plane crash yesterday. I know this is hard for you to hear, and it is also hard for me too. I'm here for you when you want to talk. We should cherish the memories we had with them.
Thank you for being honest with me.